Hi everyone, this is Steve again. Welcome to my shop. We're looking at an engine stand I built for this 1937 Cord engine. I installed it the other day by myself, which I found to be actually the best way for me to do it, because with guys helping me, things get out of hand pretty quickly. And I felt I could do it by myself. So one of the questions that we were discussing is, where do you grab hold of this thing without doing any damage? I didn't want to take any of the head bolts out for fear of causing a water leak. These flatheads are notorious for that kind of thing. So I used my gantry lift, which, by the way, is a what's the name of that? Harbor Freight gantry. And by golly, you know, that's the one thing I did buy from them that I think is a great investment. Anyway, I used two winches and picked the transmission drive axle and the engine and slid it together using two winches. Then I proceeded to move it over the car frame and install it and drop it in. As you can see here, it's going in kind of nice. I didn't shoot any video of this installation because I didn't know it took quite a while, because I didn't do it very fast. It took 2 or 3 hours to line everything up and get everything going. Hi, we only got a couple seconds, and then we're going to switch over to my video, which I took showing what we did on everything. So here we go, guys.
Hello everyone, my name is Steve. Welcome to my shop. Today I've got a real short video. I'm going to show you what we're doing, bring you up to date. Presently what we've done with my restoration on my 1937 Cord. The other day I decided to try and get the motor back in, so I'm going to swing the camera around, let you see what I'm doing. I'll just talk behind the camera. So, okay, this is the motor. Pretty self-explanatory. What's unusual about this is actually the first front-wheel drive American production vehicle with front-wheel drive. This is the transmission. Then you got your differential rear end. Your clutch housing is back here, and the flywheel, and then the engine is behind it. So it's quite a ingenious mechanism. Now this morning, we spent all day reinstalling the drive shafts, I guess you'd call them, the axle shafts for the front wheel drive. The other side is still waiting to be put together, which we'll do next week. And I'll bring you along. I'm going to try and bring you along on that when we put that in, and let you see just what's involved to get that axle shaft back in there. But the way this works for shifting, this little vacuum tank right here and this little control box right here is there's a series of valves in the bottom of this, and up inside of this there's 4 separate solenoids, and when each solenoid, whichever solenoid is energized, that's what gear it puts the transmission in. You say, well, how the hell does it do that? Well, this thing actually goes forward and back. Anyway, if I get it limbered up a little bit, and then down here this goes left and right, and depending, there's some wires on here, and depending on where you put the shifter selector, once you press the clutch in, let's say I'm in first gear, I go ahead and let the clutch out and we start rolling down the road. What I would do is put it into second gear, and nothing would happen. Nothing's going to happen as long as I don't depress the clutch. When I depress the clutch pedal, then everything in this area starts to happen, and it shifts it into the next gear. Then I would let the clutch out, be in second gear, move the shift lever up into the third gear, and this is rinse and repeat. So each time you pre-select the gear, and once you put the clutch in, then it goes to it. So if I were in fourth gear, I could put it back into third gear, and if I stepped on the clutch, it would downshift into third. They don't recommend doing that too much, because if you stuck it back in the first gear, it's not they're not fully synchronized, so you could have a problem with the gears colliding with each other. It also has another feature. It's called a Startex, and that's this little box on the side of the engine. The battery comes in, and this happens to be an 8-volt system, and it's a positive ground. So these wires here are negative wires. There's black terminals, and the way the Startex works, you turn the ignition key on, and when you depress the clutch pedal, the Startex takes over and tries to start the vehicle. Now it may start and then maybe not start the first time, so it would just it recycles. It takes a couple of seconds, maybe 5 or 10 seconds for it to re-energize, and then it would start the process of starting the car over again, and it sends juice into the starter. So that's another neat feature of the 37 cord. This engine also has a supercharger as opposed to a turbocharger. The difference between a turbocharger and a supercharger is a turbocharger is powered by the exhaust. Supercharger is powered by the internal workings, or it's driven by some means either. And this one happens to be driven off of the camshaft. There's a gear that runs off the camshaft that comes up through the top of the engine and runs a blower inside of here, which is about 6.5, I think it runs about 6.5 times the engine speed. So it really starts to pick up some horsepower on the top end. So at around 3,000 RPMs, 3 to 4,000 is when you start to feel the engine just really start to move out. It really starts to feel the power. As I recall, I think it added 50 horsepower to this engine with just this one feature here. And one of the unique things about the supercharged version, it had side dual exhausts on each side of the engine. The exhaust came out through the side of the hood, went down through the fenders, and out through the back of the back of the car. And there's on this side there's 2 more fenders, 2 more exhaust pipes over here. It came out on each side, which you'll see that when we go put that back in. We're waiting on a couple of parts right now. Waiting on a little rubber O-ring to go there that's where the steering column comes through. And once we get that, we can go ahead and put the steering column back in. So that's kind of it. We got the windshield is on now. It's looking real nice. Had that re-chromed. The doors are ready to, they've all been painted and they're ready to go back on. And this is the door hinge. pretty good sized door hinge, wouldn't you say? That's almost oh golly, it's almost a 1/4 inch thick, 3/16 at least. And then our dashboard, we've got that all back together, and we're waiting on the guy for the glass to put the glass back in. But this is our instrument panel. It was designed to look pretty much like an aircraft style dashboard. You had your controls, you had your light. This was your gas pedal. You could actually have like cruise control. You just push this down and it would push the it just runs the gas. And you had your manual choke and our lights for our instrumentation lighting here. It had not only did we have a gas gauge here, but we also had an oil gauge. So if I push this button, it would switch to the oil gauge, which showed me how much oil is in the pan, in the engine. So one is, normally it just is gas, but if I push this in, I can check and see what the oil level is at any time. Temperature gauge is a float liquid, comes up in this tube. You got your speedometer, your tachometer, your oil pressure, your clock, your radio. Here's your radio. What the heck was this? I forget what this is here. Oh, that's your amp gauge, of course. That's your amp meter over there. So, had 2 glove boxes. This car also came with concealed headlights. Very first car to have concealed headlights. And this knob right here, when you turn it, would either raise or lower the headlights in the fenders. They would come in or out of the fenders with the, and you had one on each side. Over here we had one, and then on this side we got the other one. So the left and right were individual. So if you want to go down the road with one headlight, you just crank up the one headlight. What else can I mention? I think that's about it for now. Like I said, this is kind of a short video. The supercharger came with a little bigger carburetor instead of a 1-inch Venturi opening. I think the supercharged one has an 1.25 inch bigger Venturi. So that's about it for now. Hope you like it, and stay tuned. I'll be updating the the progress. Let's see. Here's the fenders. Let's bring in the spray booth here. These are the front fenders, and like I said, this is where the headlight comes up. There's a lid, and this just opens up, and the headlight pops right out of there. So we'll see you on the next one.